Welcome back to the third and final day of the Jesse Sewalong. Let's start with grabbing your neckband. If it has a tendency to roll like mine, I highly recommend using a little bit of spray starch. It really helps. Once that's flat, we're going to take the neckband and with wrong sides touching, we are going to fold it in half lengthwise and press. This is going to kind of give us a guideline and make it easier for it to fold once we've done some other stitching. And then we're going to open that neckband back up, and with right sides touching, we are going to match up the little short ends there. We are going to pin them, and then we're going to stitch it at a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Press those seam allowances open, and then fold the neckband back in half, wrong sides touching, on the fold line that you created before. Line up the raw edges and match up the center back seam. Press. Now we're going to divide the neckband into quarters. First, you're going to place a pin at the center front and the center back. The center front has a little bit of notch, and the center back, of course, has that seam line. Match up the front and the back pins, and then that will show you where the other quarter markings are on the folds on the sides. Now that the neckband is divided into quarters, we're going to do the same thing for the neckline of your main garment. Begin by placing pins at the center front and center back notches. Match the center front pin to the center back pin, and then match up the neckline edges. Walk it out to the side fold, and that will be your other quarter mark on each side. Place pins at those quarter markings. Notice that the quarter markings on the sides do not line up with the shoulder seams. Instead, they are a little bit in front. With the garment still inside out, you're going to insert the neckband into the neck opening so that the right sides of the neckband and garment are touching. Make sure that you line up the quarter pin markings of the neckband with those on the neckline, being extra careful that the center back, center front, and side markings are all coordinating. Note that the neckband is slightly smaller than the garment neckline, so you're going to need to stretch it to fit, and you might want to add extra pins. Okay, let's sew this neckline seam. You can serge this, but I find that it's easier to get an even width on my neckband if I use my sewing machine and a normal 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. It's actually not a bad idea to base this first and just check the fit. Ribbing can vary a lot, and you may find that you need to make your neckband slightly bigger or smaller before completely committing to this stitch. Press and steam the neckband now. You're going to press the neckband up and away from the garment and the seam allowances down toward the t-shirt. Using a stretch stitch, you're going to top stitch just inside the main t-shirt, 1/8 of an inch away from the neckband. You'll be catching the seam allowances of the neckband underneath as you're sewing. Use the steam setting on your iron to press and reshape the neckline. This is a good time to try on your Jesse and do a fit check. See if you want to shorten the sleeves or the body at all. Trim those now before proceeding. We are going to hem both of the sleeves by 1 inch. If you're using the Heat and Bond soft stretch, now is the time to apply it. It's definitely not necessary. It's one of those optional items that I really like to use when I'm sewing knits. It takes the place of pins, and it also just adds a little bit more strength to those areas where I am hemming, and it keeps those areas from stretching out under my presser foot. Turn each sleeve up by 1 inch all the way around. Here's what it would look like if you're just normally pressing it up by an inch and using pins to keep it in place. Now we're going to go over to our sewing machine and we are going to stitch about 7/8 of an inch inside of the lower folded line. And the sleeve should look something like this now that they are sewn and hemmed. Turn the t-shirt inside out again, and we are going to hem the bottom of the t-shirt in the same way that we hem the sleeves. Start by folding up the bottom of the t-shirt by 1 inch all the way around. You can use the Heat and Bond soft stretch like I'm going to be doing here, or you can just fold it up and pin it. And now we'll go back to our sewing machine, and just like we did for the sleeve, we are going to use a stretch stitch to stitch at 7/8 of an inch up from the bottom fold. And that is it. Our Jessie is done. Give it a final press, trim off any loose threads, and go out and wear it proudly.